My name is Monica Paz and I'm a functional nutritionist, and today we're going to be talking about batch cooking. A lot of you are asking, how do I get all this food prepared in a short period of time? And when you're eating whole foods, it's always hard to know, what to make whenever you get home from work. And it's really hard to start thinking paleo, gluten-free, dairy-free, all of these things, and come up with nutritious food. So what I thought I would do is I would show you maybe 2 or 3 or even 4 if we have time, dishes that you can make all in one day, maybe on the weekend or on a day that you have a few hours. And then with a little bit of planning ahead, you can get a lot done for the entire week. We're making a blueberry cobbler, and we will give you the recipe in the notes. We're getting all of the lemon juice. Put it into the blueberries. Lemon zest. 1 tablespoon of coconut sugar, organic coconut sugar, into the blueberries. We're going to mix this in. We start with dessert because dessert usually takes a little longer to cook, so we put this in the oven while we make everything else. And of course, you're not going to be making dessert every day of your week, but this is just a nice treat that we're going to have this week. And we're splitting it in 2 pans. We're going to set this aside. 1 cup of cassava flour. Cassava flour is made out of yuca or cassava, which is a root, and is gluten-free, grain-free, and nut-free, so it's a very nice substitute for flour. So we're going to do 1 cup. We're making the topping now. And we're putting this in our food processor. 1/4 of a cup of coconut sugar. 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. I'm generous with my cinnamon because cinnamon is very good for you. Helps you lower your blood sugar. We're going to do a pinch of salt, which literally is a pinch. 1/2 cup of palm shortening, and I'm using this Nutiva shortening. It has palm and coconut oil, so 1/2 cup of palm oil. Vanilla extract, organic, and we pulse it.
So is a food processor different than a blender?
Yes.
It's different?
Yes, you'll see how the food processor makes things a little more crumbly than a blender. Blender blends it all together. You don't want to over mix because you'll end up with a dough like that. So I know that the guys are really going to like this. I think I would add probably nuts. So I didn't use oatmeal, which is probably what you're used to.
Yeah.
But this is a new recipe, so we'll see. So oven at 375. I want to show you how to peel ginger. We're going to need, for the tom kha soup, we're going to need a piece of ginger, a 2-inch piece of ginger. So the easiest way to do it is with a spoon, just a teaspoon, and you just scrape the skin off like this. So much easier than trying to do it with a potato peeler. The skin comes off really nicely. Okay, while the cobbler is in the oven, we're making tom kha soup. And this is Thai soup with coconut milk and vegetables. And the reason we're doing it in that order is because the soup will be cooking, and then we'll move on to the next thing, which is going to be a skillet. I'm slicing 3 shallots here, and we're going to saute these after we saute the chicken. And this is really the bulk of this soup. This is not really rocket science. This is something that you can put together in 20 minutes if you have all your ingredients ready. Adding 1 tablespoon of coconut oil to brown the chicken. If I'm going to cut up raw chicken or any kind of meat that is not cooked completely, I tend to use a different cutting board. Like all my cutting boards are wood except for this one is an acrylic, because whenever you have raw meat, this goes easily into the dishwasher. And so I keep the two separate. Like I'm having fun. So we're going to process the vegetables. Broccoli and bok choy. The mushrooms are all ready to go. We have the chicken brownie, and this is quick. Doesn't matter how you cut it. It's all going in there. Always looking at vegetables as a source of fiber for you. Fiber and all kinds of nutrients. You don't have to be perfect. Check on my chicken here. Turn it. It's supposed to be browning. Doing great. So there it is. It's 4 chicken breasts, and I recommend that you use stainless steel cookware, not aluminum, not even porcelain. It's due to the lead content. Sometimes some of the coatings that you have in cookware may have some lead and cause you to store heavy metals in your body. So it's really important to know that you're having metals that are not going to affect your body. Okay, so this is lemongrass, and what we do with this really is between that and the lime leaves, they provide all the flavor to your tom kha soup. So what I do is I take the edges off, and you bruise it. And what you do is you take the knife handle and you mash it. That releases the aroma, the flavor. Yeah, we're almost done with the chicken, and then it's just a matter of combining all these things. There's the mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms. You will love this. And the thing is that once you make a recipe and it turns out, you know how to make it, and you just want to make it again. That's just the bottom line. So don't be afraid to try some new things, because when you do, it opens up the door to a new world of possibility. It's just amazing. Don't be afraid to cook. And you don't have to get caught up on perfect, cutting or perfect measuring, nothing like that. It's just whatever comes, because even if you don't follow the recipe exactly, it's going to be your recipe, and it's going to be the way that you cooked it, and you'll know for the next time what to do differently. Okay, so the chicken only has to be browned. It doesn't have to be cooked all the way. What we do is we just set it aside for a little bit. Add a little bit more coconut oil to the pan. And I'm going to add the shallots here. And at this point you would add garlic. I'm not adding garlic to this because I don't tolerate garlic very well. You can make all the substitutions that you want. As I said, you don't have to follow every recipe exactly. So this is my version of the recipe that you're going to get, because I follow the paleo autoimmune diet. I don't tolerate nightshades, and nightshades are things like peppers and eggplant, tomatoes. So those are the things that I keep out of this. But again, you can add them. This recipe calls for peppers, 2 hot peppers. And again, you can just include them or take them out. I've chosen to take them out. Okay, at this point, I'm going to add the lemongrass and ginger. Toss that about a little bit before that gets burned. I'm going to add a quart of vegetable broth. You can use chicken broth or beef broth, any broth that you have in the cupboard. So there it goes. I'm slicing up the chicken, and we're going to add it back into the pot. along with the lime leaves. Okay.
So it's like halfway raw?
Yep, because it was just browned. It was browned, and so it's going to finish cooking in the pot. I'm adding the lime leaves. The next thing will be a can of coconut milk. Okay, so this is a can of Native Forest Simple coconut milk, and that is full fat coconut milk, and that's it. So we have a quart of broth and a 14-ounce can of coconut milk. And then we're just going to let it cook for a little bit. And the last thing we'll do is add the vegetables, and it will be ready. It's been 40 minutes since the chicken has been cooking. And now we just add the broccoli, the bok choy, and the mushrooms. And notice that the water has kind of dried. It's not as soupy as it was before, so I'm just going to add a little bit more water and make it so that there's more moisture there, more like a soup. And so in 5 minutes it will be bright green. It's supposed to be bright green, but it's okay. It'll be good. Tom-kha soup. Very good. So we're getting ready to make a vegetable beef soup, and we're going to use a lot of root vegetables, basically whatever there was in the refrigerator. So we have green onion, rainbow carrots, sweet potato. Over here we have some parsnips and more potatoes, and over here we have some celery and some beef, just regular beef for stew. We're going to add a little bit of cayenne, a bay leaf, some black pepper, paprika, thyme, and salt. That's basically what, and we're going to have also a little bit of parsley. So we're going to do this in the Instant Pot. What you want to do is you're going to set it to saute right here. And that usually is set for 10 minutes. So here we go. We're going to start by adding a little salt to the meat, a little pepper. So we have 2 pounds of beef here, beef for stew. In the meantime, I'm going to use a little bit of coconut oil, maybe about a tablespoon of coconut oil. It goes into the pot. And on the saute setting, this gets pretty hot. So what we're going to do is we're going to brown that meat. Usually avocado oil or coconut oil will work best. You don't want to use olive oil for something like this. This is going to be so easy. You just brown the meat. We just browned one batch, half of it, and then brown the other side, and then we're going to add a little bit more coconut oil, saute the vegetables, which are the carrots, onions, and celery. And after those are sauteed, we add the meat. We add some either broth or water, it's up to you. And then lastly, we add the potatoes and the turnips. And then we cook that for literally 30 minutes at most. So now we're sauteing all the veggies. Look how colorful that is. This is actually bone broth that I had made with just bones, beef bones. So I'm going to add that in a little bit. Add the meat, the bone broth, and we'll add some more water to this. This is really, you can tell that it's bone broth because it's gelled. You see that? That's the collagen from the bones. So that's true bone broth, homemade. And I'm going to add 8 cups of water total. You want to use filtered water always. I will use 2 bay leaves. I love the way bay leaves make the soup taste. Let's see what else we have here. Use about a half a teaspoon of thyme, and I'll write all this down for you. A little paprika. Cayenne is very spicy, so I'm only going to add maybe like 1/8 of a teaspoon. You know what? I'm going to add a little bit of coconut aminos because it gives it instead of soy sauce. And then a little splash of red wine. Sometimes you can use this while you're sauteing the meat. It's the root vegetables. So you don't want to overcook your soup, your stew. So I would start setting the pot, the Instant Pot, to about 20 minutes. And then when you open it up, you can see, you can let it just cook on saute until it's, you know, the meat is completely done. Because since everything cooks at once, your potatoes may get too soft if you leave it too long in there. And notice we haven't added the parsley. The parsley will be added at the end when we open the pot. I'm going to go ahead and close this.